On the 3rd of July 2021, Adventureland in Iowa saw its darkest day when a raft on the raging river tipped over, killing an 11-year-old boy and injuring countless others. This would go down as one of the most infamous theme park disasters of all time. But what if I told you this wasn't the only accident to happen on the raging river? 5 years earlier, there was another incident that led to death on the same ride, which was soon forgotten about. But what happened that day? Let's talk about it. This is the Raging River disaster, the death of Stephen Paul Booher. Adventureland Park in Iowa has a rich history that dates back to its opening in 1974. Founded by businessman Jack Krantz, Adventureland started as a vision to open a park with an Iowa theme, highlighting local businesses. Krantz told the Quad City Times in 1971, "We hope it will be a big boost to the state. It will definitely be in the class of Disneyland and Six Flags over Texas." Over the years, the park has evolved and expanded, becoming one of Iowa's premier destinations for thrill seekers and families alike. Despite its massive expansion, the Krantz family has played a significant role in the park's development and success, overseeing its day-to-day operations. As the park's popularity grew, so did its rides. Some of its most notable rides include the Dragon Slayer, which is one of Adventureland's signature roller coasters. The Dragon Slayer is a fourth dimension steel coaster with twists, turns, and drops, and cost a staggering £7 million to build. Then there's the iconic Space Shot Drop Tower, which blasts visitors 200 feet into the air before plummeting back to Earth. However, there isn't a ride more infamous at the park than the Raging River, which would shut down in 2021 following a harrowing incident at the park. When first opened in 1983, the Raging River was a beloved water ride at the park. Designed by Intamin, a renowned manufacturer of amusement park rides, Raging River became an instant hit among park goers. Themed around a wild river adventure, the ride featured elaborate scenery and landscaping, including rock formations, vegetation, and cascading waterfalls. Raging River provided an immersive ride experience simulating whitewater rafting. Riders boarded large circular rafts, seating several passengers, and embarked on a winding watercourse with twists, turns, and surprises. The ride was a fan favourite for many years and ran without incident until 2016. On that day, Stephen Paul Booher was working on the ride. 68-year-old Stephen Booher and his wife Gladys Booher had both recently retired and were enjoying the freedom to do what they wanted, and this freedom they used to tour around America in their RV, visiting friends and family along the way. That summer, Stephen decided to take a summer job at Adventureland as he enjoyed working with different people. He and Gladys would sleep in their RV outside the park, while Stephen would work there. He had been working at the park only 6 days before disaster struck. June the 7th, 2016 was like any other ordinary day at the park, and Stephen's job that day was to be a loading assistant on the Raging River. A loading assistant's job is to get guests safely onto the ride in an appropriate manner. Suddenly, as Stephen was loading guests onto the ride, it started up again, jerking him forward. This resulted in him falling off of the platform and onto the moving belt. One witness who saw the events unfold said, "I know it wasn't just a case of him slipping and falling without the ride moving. I saw the ride take the man off his feet." Stephen was then crushed between one of the rafts and the concrete wall. The official court document stated his head was repeatedly rammed into the sidewall. Stuart Glenn, the ride operator, rushed down to see the commotion, but failed to turn the ride off. Even 22-year-old witness Bauer knew this wasn't right. He claimed Stuart appeared confused. Stuart eventually then shut the ride off after patrons told him to do so, but due to Stephen hitting his head multiple times, he was now unconscious. A doctor on the scene began giving Stuart support until the ambulance arrived. Once the ambulance did arrive, he was transported to Mercy Medical Center, where he was put on life support. Tragically, Stuart never regained consciousness and died 4 days later in hospital. The ride was immediately shut down, and an investigation into the accident started the next day. The first thing investigators did was inspect the ride itself to see if there were any defects that could have caused Stephen to fall. After a few days, state officials released a statement saying, We did our inspection and we found no adverse conditions as far as the ride was concerned. However, even though they found nothing wrong with the ride itself, they did deem that Adventureland broke Iowa law by failing to create a safe work environment. The park were only fined $4,500, which obviously caused upset in Stephen's family, but this was the maximum fine that could be given for this kind of incident. However, if the ride was working correctly, then the next person to look at was the ride operator that day, Stuart Glenn. The family of Stephen sued operator Stuart Glenn for negligence. They claimed that Stuart failed in multiple regards that day, and here's why. Stuart neglected to visually inspect the ride before starting it, failed to monitor it during operation, and didn't remain vigilant. He didn't understand his role in handling incidents involving other staff members, and neglected to halt the ride after a reckless start, the reckless start caused injury to Stephen. Additionally, he didn't ensure loading assistants weren't on the boat before starting, initiated the ride without the necessary signal from staff, and disregarded safety instructions on the control board. When Stephen was injured, he left his post without stopping the ride and only intervened after being prompted by patrons. He admitted responsibility for the assistant's fall and didn't appropriately address the severity of the injury. Things did not look good for Stuart, but no one ever heard the outcome of the case until the disaster that occurred in 2021. Attorney Fred Dorr said after that day, Gladys Booher called him. He said, "She called me saying she couldn't sleep because she thought maybe our case should have gone to trial, so that the public knew everything that happened." According to Attorney Dorr, it was confirmed that operator error was to blame, as Stuart didn't wait for the thumbs up to start the ride. He went on to say that the case was eventually dismissed as Adventureland stepped in and resolved the issue. This basically means that they paid out the Booher family out of court. It was never stated how much this was. Gladys was understandably angry that this could happen again to another family. She said, "It's just like somebody just turned the calendar back to June the 7th, 2016. I just knew what the family was going through, and I just knew how it was going to forever change their lives." Gladys was left traumatised by the incident. Her and Stephen had been married since December the 21st, 1968, which was 47 years. They had 2 children, and he was described as a good family man. His nephew said, "He was really low-key, but always positive and always happy. He was just so in love with my aunt, he would do anything for her." He was cremated and put to rest at the First Church of God in Pryor, Oakland, and may he rest in peace. After the incident in 2021, the raging river would never reopen. If you want me to do a follow-up video and cover that case, please let me know in the comments below. As always, this is not an AI channel, I do everything myself, and if you appreciate my work, subscribe, and if you want to go the extra step to support the channel, maybe consider becoming a member. This case was relatively swept under the rug until it resurfaced after the disaster in 2021. Let me know what you think about this in the comments below, and as always, thank you for watching.